Hello everyone and welcome back to Dissecting Dimensions, a series of videos made by yours truly breaking down every single franchise represented inside LEGO Dimensions. In this episode of Dissecting Dimensions, I'll be taking a dive into the Legends of Chima franchise, as it is not only the first franchise in the game to not receive any form of level based around it in one way or another, but it is also the franchise that I have the least knowledge about amongst all of the properties featured in Year 1. Legends of Chima was a LEGO franchise that I had heard the name of in passing but never had any personal interest or investment in, seeing as it was released after my interest in LEGOs fell into a dormant state. Some of the last LEGO sets I had personally enjoyed getting that I can remember were under Exoforce and Power Miners, to give a reference to when I was last interested in the plastic building blocks. Apparently the series was initially intended to replace the LEGO Ninjago line of sets, but as history clearly shows, that didn't end up happening because Ninjago continued to run for over a decade while Chima lasted a measly 3 years, 2013, 2014, and 2015, meaning that Legends of Chima being featured here in LEGO Dimensions was actually near the tail end of its life before getting completely discontinued. While it was around, Chima not only got its fair share of LEGO sets released, but also had a full-blown animated TV series and several video games being developed, including an MMO of all things. I don't know, judging by what I've read up on for this video, LEGO really seemed to be pushing for Chima to be its next big thing, so I gotta admire the attempts here even if I can't really judge its level of success. The series seemed to win some awards, so clearly it was loved by people, but that's about all the background I really have to give, so without further ado, let's just dive right into these characters. The first Chima character in the game is none other than Laval, member of the Lion Tribe and main character of the series. In LEGO Dimensions, Laval is voiced by Robert Webb, which is interesting because this is not the same actor that plays him in the actual television series. I'm not sure why that is, but it is actually the case for all 3 Chima characters that I'll be going over here. Surprisingly though, Laval is the worst Legends of Chima character, as he does not possess any useful abilities, nor does he have any movement options available to him. He's acrobatic, so he can double jump and swing around poles and wall jump and stuff, but he's also got the sonar smash ability, which can be used by holding down the square button to unleash a roar, and the laser deflector ability, which can be used for situational based puzzles. Otherwise though, he's rather unremarkable, coming with the mighty Lion Rider vehicle and his Royal Valius accessory. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, I probably did. At the very least, he has a unique character ability possessed only by the 3 Legends of Chima characters, known as the Chi ability, in which he can absorb these yellow orbs of Chi by defeating enemies or going to Chi refill stations and use it to enter what I would essentially call Rage mode, giving him enhanced power to take down enemies and use super strength to break down barriers. Aside from that, it can also be used to fill these Chi portals, which are needed to open certain doors, and is most likely the primary reason you're actually going to use it for. Alas, given that this ability is shared amongst all 3 Chima characters, this doesn't make him mandatory, and quite frankly, I just say straight up skip Laval because despite being the main character of the series, his inferiority to the other 2 shines. Second up in the Chima line, we've got Kragger, Laval's best friend and member of the Crocodile Tribe, voiced by John Gegenhuber? My sincerest apologies on that horrible pronunciation, I'm sure. Out of all 3 Chima characters, Kragger is the one that is absolutely 100% mandatory to beat the final game because, as I mentioned in my Lord of the Rings video, there are portals located underwater in a few different adventure worlds that require Chi to be put into them in order to use, and out of the 3 Chima characters, Kragger is the only one that can dive underwater, ergo he is the one that a completionist needs to acquire in order to finish the game. That being said, yes, he can also use the Chi ability just like Laval, and yes, he can dive underwater. Kragger also gains the super strength ability when he uses his Chi up, and he has immunity to hazardous chemicals, as situational as that is. Furthermore, he comes with the Vengblaze accessory, which is the name of his weapon, and the Swamp Skimmer watercraft, which is useful for the occasional sea race. Do I like Kragger? Not at all. He's pretty annoying to listen to and not very fun to play as. I really don't enjoy him. But is he necessary? Yes, and that's why I have to recommend him. As a reminder, in order to gain access to the Legends of Chima adventure world, you need to own at least one of the Legends of Chima characters, and considering that Krager is needed for 100% in other adventure worlds, you may as well get Krager. And completing the trinity of Legend of Chima characters comes Eris, member of the Eagle tribe and voiced by Julia Whitner. Now, unlike Laval and Krager, I actually have a few good things to say about Eris, believe it or not. Her accessory, a Glaxer, probably, is undeniably the best weapon of the 3 Chima characters because it's not just a generic sword that doesn't have anything special about it, it's a staff that transforms into a crossbow, providing for both a close combat and ranged attacking weapon. This, of course, means she can shoot targets using her projectile as well, and given that she has wings, yep, she can fly on top of that, making her a ranged flying character, which is super useful. And of course, as established by this point, she has the Chi ability as well. Her vehicle of choice is the Eagle Interceptor, which, believe it or not, was actually based on an actual LEGO set of the same name, so that's pretty cool. I can sort of, well, okay, no, I guess I can't recommend Eris as a character because while flying characters are always fun, she's not as special as some other flyers in the game, and you already have Krager for the Chi ability, so she's not required at all. Yeah, I think this is one of those characters that I would never prioritize or suggest doing so, but hey, it wouldn't hurt to have her. She's still the best of the 3 choices, but there are other characters from different franchises that certainly outclass her. And this is where I would discuss the Legends of Chima stage, if there was one. Legends of Chima is the most underrepresented franchise in the entire LEGO Dimensions story mode. I mean, at least Jurassic World got a hidden area in one of the other stages. Does Chima get that luxury? Nope. All it gets is mini-kits in the final stage of the game, which just takes place in the final dimension as a boss battle against Lord Vortek with a random secret area that's tied to Ninjago, of all things, rather than Chima. I mean, I guess of all the properties, this one is the most closely associated to Chima, but even still, it just feels like Chima got the short end of the stick here, so, yeah, that's all I really have to say in this section. The 10 mini-kits are based on the Golden Chima chest from the series, but yeah, okay, I guess we can just move on to the adventure world now.
To the end is a rotten skunk!
Given the sheer lack of content present in the game, combined with my familiarity with the franchise, I'm gonna keep this one brief for all of us. The red brick of this particular adventure world is remarkably unextraordinary, seeing as it is the Master of Chi brick, a power-up which causes the rate at which Chima characters gain Chi to increase it so that it doesn't take as long to reach its maximum level and Chi up. Alas, given the situational use of this power-up and my disinterest in playing as the Chima characters, this isn't a red brick that I was ever going to ask for, but I suppose it doesn't hurt anything for existing. It's just kind of underwhelming because Chi is only necessary at the end of the day for these portals that you need to dump Chi into. But hey, like I said, the buff isn't causing any harm, so may as well have it on all the time. There's also 5 races in this world to complete for what that's worth. The actual adventure world itself is comprised of several different factions or races based on the tribe of animal species that resides there. For instance, the tribes of gorillas, crocodiles, and beavers all coexist on the far left of the map, where a jungle and swamp biome are sort of combined together in one giant wooded area. Meanwhile, the lion tribe resides inside the lion temple, which takes up an even greater portion of the area in the northeast corner. There also exists the Outlands, which is a very cold region full of ice and snow, and an underwater area comprised of sunken temples that can be explored. I think my absolute favorite areas of the map, however, are the beaver huts and the underwater crocodile cavern. I don't know what it is, but exploring and discovering these areas where you can only access them by diving underwater and swimming up into it is such a cool experience to me. Like, getting to go inside this hidden, isolated cavern or hut that's fully covered just gives me this feeling of satisfaction, like I discovered a hidden area possessing some cool secrets. I mean, that's why I love attics so much. It's like you can only access it from this one point down below, and there's always cool stuff tucked away up there. But I digress. Last but not least, there's also this temple in the sky, which is home to the Eagle tribe, which Eris of course belongs to. Within this realm, there are 10 renovations that the player will need to donate studs towards, adding up to a combined total of 545,000 studs, the highest amount yet of any adventure world, and also the most number of renovations. The jukebox is located above the Lion Temple in this little nook here, so if you wish to unlock your customizable soundtrack, there you go. There are many renovations present here, although there aren't that many of them that feel particularly remarkable. The most expensive renovation goes towards rebuilding the Eagle Temple up in the sky, which is undoubtedly the coolest one. This giant structure was really fun to scale up, and I honestly love the design of this thing, especially with it sitting on top of this floating island that has a head for all the different animal tribes sculpted on its outside. That's the only renovation located up above, however, so heading back down to ground level, we can see that there are quite a few different renovations located in the forest areas. There are 2 separate bridges that can be rebuilt for the Beaver tribe, which makes ground navigation of the area a lot easier to manage, especially because getting caught in the swampy muck really halts your character's movement abilities. There's also the main Beaver Village building, which can be restored to this gigantic structure containing some gold bricks and stud blocks that can be used to earn some of that mummy back, with proper timing of course. And outside of that, there exists one renovation submerged underwater at the bottom of the ruins, which can be spent to excavate some of the surrounding area. Back up at the Lion Temple, there are 2 more renovations, one for a nearby training area that the Lion tribe can train in, and another for restoring the Lion tribe's throne, which you can actually sit on, believe it or not, and it creates this endless supply of chi that you can go to at any point in the adventure world to refill your chi meter. Of all renovations, this one is probably the most desirable to purchase first, if for no other reason than the fact that it opens an infinitely spawning chi farm where you can max out the chi level of all of the Chima characters, making the chi up ability super easy to acquire simply by visiting this throne room. The Crocodile tribe also has a throne that can be restored. Remember that underwater cavern area I mentioned? Yeah, that's where it's located, so you'll definitely have to pay this room a visit for 100% completion. I believe that makes 9 out of 10 renovations, so last but certainly not least, there exists a market stall in the Outlands which can be purchased to assist this local resident with their business. And that does it for all 10 renovations. I realize I probably sped through that pretty quickly, but in all honesty, I don't feel like any of them really needed extensive detail because they're all pretty basic aside from the couple that I did decide to highlight a little bit more than the others. It's also possible that due to my disattachment from the Chima franchise, I just don't have as much to say about it, but who knows. I also cue part of my lack of things to say up to the fact that I just don't have any attachment to Chima, but that's not the game's fault, so please don't think this is outright bad. It probably isn't, and I'm sure Chima fans have something to get out of this. Maybe. I don't know for sure. Now, as per all of the Year 1 adventure worlds up to this point, there are 5 main quests and a minikit gold brick to discuss, so let's go ahead and get the latter out of the way first. Remember the Joker and Harley Quinn pie thrower? Well, it's the same thing again, just in Chima form instead. Hop in the device, shoot enough enemies within the time limit, which is very forgiving by the way, then score your gold brick, easy as pie. The quest lines, on the other hand, are a bit more interesting than that at the very least. All of the adventure worlds up until this point have felt like they were doing the same repetitive quests over and over again. Collect these items scattered around the world, fight a bunch of dudes. Let's start with flower power to illustrate how different some of these quests are.
Someone needs to tell this flower dude to lay its roots somewhere a little quieter. I've been redirecting traffic here for hours and my arms are falling asleep. You gotta help me, dude.
In this mission here, given by Gorzan of the Gorilla tribe, the player needs to defend this flower from the oncoming Crocodile tribe members who for some reason feel the need to walk into this giant flower instead of going around it. Yeah, I don't know the logic behind this, but basically it's a defense mission where you need to defeat all of the Crocodile tribe members until Gorzan gets back with the proper materials in order to safely remove it and plant it somewhere else. Admittedly, I failed this mission the first time because I wasn't expecting it. I was assuming thinking I'd just have to defeat enemies in a normal gauntlet, but nope. I had to be spatially aware and constantly checking the 3 different access points to make sure none of them got too close. Luckily, the second time around wasn't too bad, but it was a nice breath of fresh air to do something different from the usual mission, and something that caught me off guard. Adding on to that comes the Regal's Recall mission, given to you by the Eagle Tribe member, Regal.
Fine, I'll admit it. There may have been a diabolical ulterior motive behind my artificial chi. It may have been designed to make anyone who uses it act like a chicken. Well, you can't have it both ways.
After this failed attempt at making artificial chi, the player needs to go around the adventure world rescuing tribe members from acting like a chicken and steal their chi back. By killing them. Yeah, it doesn't seem like the most humane way to recollect this chi, but here we are, I guess. This mission is as if it takes the defeat a certain number of enemies and collect all the items missions and combines them together in one, which, while not necessarily being the most creative thing in the world, was at least a little different from having to play 2 separate missions that consisted of the same thing. Next comes the Beaver Breakout mission, which is given to you by Bazaar at the Beaver Village.
Those crooked crocs are up to another one of their schemes, I just know it. Why else would they capture half the beaver tribe? They must be planning to fix up some kind of world domination machine.
You know, I really like how there's basically one quest given you by one member of each of the 5 tribes. We've already gone over the gorilla and eagle tribes, we're doing the beaver tribe now, and the last 2 missions are tasked by a lion and, well, fitting how it mostly works out, I guess. This mission is similar to the gem excavating mission from the Orc Commander in the Lord of the Rings adventure world in the sense that it's an underwater diving mission in which you need to rescue these 3 beavers who are currently captured by breaking them out and fixing some items along the way, with each beaver having a different associated item that needs fixed. Again, this is more interesting than simply rescuing the beavers. There's an added catch that enhances the mission beyond just that. If there's one thing I can give the Chima adventure world, it's that it does a good job switching up the mission structure. Speaking of, the dental mission.
Kruller and her cronies may blather on about taking over Chima, but the only world domination I can see is the gum disease dominating the worlds of those crocs' filthy mouths.
So this mission isn't exactly given by a crocodile tribe member, but it's centered purely around them because you basically need to punch these crocs in the face who are acting out so that they can get dazed enough for Plovar here to clean their teeth. Just like how the real-life Egyptian plover bird cleans crocodiles' teeth in real life as some sort of symbiotic relationship. Very cool reference to actual animal behavior in the real world, and a fun quest to boot. I have no idea who this Plovar character is, but their commentary on dental hygiene was pretty amusing to listen to, so I enjoyed it. It's an easy mission, but a nice breather nonetheless.
These are troubling times for Chima. It seems you can't turn your back on the Chi altar for 2 seconds without one power-hungry tribe or another helping themselves to Chi orbs.
The final mission in the game, however, given by Lagravis in the Lion Temple, is the standard beat-em-up mission in which these Lion Tribe members are misusing all of the chi and the player needs to stop them by beating them up. Yeah, unfortunately this one isn't as exciting as the others, but it's not that bad and it's a good excuse to use the chi up ability in order to make quicker work of them. If anything, that's essentially what this mission's purpose is, to be a tutorial for the Chi-Up ability. Seeing as how a Chima character is required to even access this world, I suppose it makes sense to have some sort of tutorial for their franchise-exclusive ability, but I guess I just sorta wish there was more to it, like an escort portion after the fight where you need to go into the temple and open a door using a Chi portal, or there being some sort of wall that you need to smash down in order to progress. Basically, I just wish it did a bit more with the power besides throwing a bunch of enemies at you. But that just about wraps up the final main quest of the world, and unfortunately I didn't really encounter many other gold bricks that I thought stuck out to me. I guess there's this one in the sky that requires a character capable of smashing rainbow bricks, which was interesting, as was the one in the sunken ruins, but aside from that, they were mostly tame. Ultimately, the representation of Legends of Chima in LEGO Dimensions is fine? It's okay, I guess. If anything else, it feels like it was an afterthought in the game in comparison to all of the other Year 1 franchises. Maybe LEGO felt they needed to have more of their own original properties and dimensions besides just Ninjago, so they threw in Chima at the last minute. Maybe it wasn't made a priority because it wasn't as big as the other franchises in the game. Regardless, I have no personal attachment to Legends of Chima, and I don't have any desire to seek it out after experiencing it here in Dimensions the way that the LEGO movie finally managed to convince me to watch the second part after all this time. The adventure world was decent with some cool secrets hidden away, but for the most part this felt more like a filler world, something to sorta rest in between Back to the Future and the next big property I'm gonna be visiting. Speaking of which, it's Portal 2. Finally! Next up, I'm going to be diving into one of my most anticipated franchises that is present within this entire game. I've played the heck out of Portal 1 and 2, so the fact that this will be my first time experiencing new Portal content in over a decade is such an exhilarating feeling for me. I honestly can't wait. So, tune in next time to see where the Portal level pack takes us in LEGO Dimensions. Until next time, Shadowstreak, signing off.